Jesus himself said there will be times in your life where the family will be divided about standing for truth. He's not telling you to divide. He's just saying, don't let things silence us. In my studies of leadership, and I love the topic of leadership, I found a word that has changed. It's the word virtue. In our world, it means, I want to hang on to my daughter's virtue. We'll lock them up in their bedroom, don't let them date anybody. And, it's kind of where we use that word virtue. But that's not how it was used in the ancient world. And it is a profound look at how we should live our lives. Because virtue was, when you looked at someone and you said they were virtuous, you looked at somebody and said, wow, that's virtue. They weren't talking about just that. They were talking about excellence. Excellence spiritually, excellence morally, excellence physically, excellence in leadership, excellence in every area. And whenever they talked about this virtue, there was always 4 things that would be included in it: courage, temperance, justice, and wisdom. These 4 are talked about all through Christianity, all through the Old Testament, and many other religions. Courage is crucial. Like temperance, courage is bravery, it's fortitude, it's honor, it's sacrifice, it's courage. But then there's temperance. We don't use that word anymore. It just means, drink a little less. No, it means self-control, moderation, composure, balance as a dad, a mom, a leader, a business person. Then justice. Well, justice is fairness for all. Justice is serving one another, fellowshipping with one another, goodness, kindness, wisdom. Wisdom is knowledge, education, truth. Wisdom is self-reflection and peace. These are the words. This is how they would explain these 4 words that come under this thing of virtue, a virtuous person. It's not male nor female. It just is. Doing the right things always takes courage. Everything that you're going to do that's right, you're going to have someone who's going to come against you. And we live in a world that goes, I want everyone to like me. Good luck. Doing the right things always takes courage. And what good is courage if it's not applied to justice? These 4 are a phenomenal grouping. What good is wisdom if it doesn't help make us modest? What good is discipline if wisdom doesn't show us what paths to be disciplined in? These 4 words under virtue are a stunning look at how we should live all through the Word of God. These things are raised up. You'll find them in the fruits of the Spirit. You'll find them over here as they talk about what to add to your faith. It is in the Old Testament, you will find these 4 things show us a great leader. It's not just a courageous leader. People can have courage and just be stupid. Courage needs wisdom. And as you rise up into leadership, it needs moderation. It needs control and balance. When so many leaders, just every pleasure they can get their hands on, they will. And to control and have a throne becomes more important than the serving of the people. This word virtue needs to be reawakened in leaders and in your life, in my life. We need to look at these and go, okay, if you can take these 4 and recognize this is what virtuous living looks like, I'm telling you, you are going to live an amazing life. We become harpists by practicing the harp. We become trumpet players by practicing the trumpet. We become builders by building. And we become courageous by practicing courage every day. We become temperate by controlling ourselves every day. We become wise by seeking out wisdom in every area of our lives. But today we think that a person who's a hero is a one-time in a lifetime. His moment was there. I agree. There will be moments in your life where your courage to make a decision, to stand up or sit down, to say no, to speak up, to side with someone that's going to cost you, then you were created for such a time as this. But when we take this thought too far, then we all think, live the way you want, and one day courage will kind of explode. No, courage is developed day after day after day. What made David get up and face off Goliath was the fact he practiced courage out there. He looked after his dad's sheep, and for his dad, he was serving. And when that lion came up, he killed him. When that bear came up, he destroyed it. He chased them down and saved these sheep. He was practicing courage every day by worshiping God, getting to know God. But when situations arose, he wasn't just courageous when he faced Goliath. There was a daily working of courage. And if the Church of Jesus Christ, decades ago, centuries ago, would have stood up and been courageous in sharing our faith, would have been courageous in backing the hurting and the marginalized and rolling them up in our arms and including them, if we'd have been bold enough to get up and speak up for the Jesus that we love, we would have a nation that recognizes Christ. But instead, the way religion has been brought up has turned so many people off. There needs to be a rediscovery of what the true church looks like. A spirit contemporary group of people that love, that rise up and do great things for God. So this virtue, it's not a singular event. It's not just something you maybe will do. It is a daily challenge. And when you live with moderation and in control and well-balanced, and you listen to wisdom and you literally rise up, say, this is going to take courage, but I'm going to do it. When we live this way, it is just something begins to get into your kids. Your kids don't do what you say. Your kids do what you do. You transfer to your kids not your knowledge base, but your attitude towards every issue of life. Your attitude towards sex, towards bravery, your attitude to stand up and be counted. These things are passed down generationally. And when we're gone and our kids and our grandkids have to stand up and fight the battles, we refuse to fight because we're cowards? Not on my watch. No way. I'm not going to be pressured to back down from things that are evil. Leo Tolstoy says, there is no deed in this life so impossible that you can't do it. Your whole life should be lived as one heroic deed. Live with a sense of bravery, and you're going to raise kids this world's going to stand in awe of. Education is everywhere. We have ministry into our jails, but I'll tell you, without Jesus, all we get is educated criminals who get better at what they do. Like, we have forgotten that God knows what He's doing. We want to stick with what is safe. It's kind of like, me? Heroic? I mean, that just seems so egotistical, preposterous. I mean, we'll leave it to someone else more qualified, more trained, with less to lose. I mean, it's understandable. It could be even logical. But those people never rise up. Look at history. It's people who go, well, if no one's going to do it, I've already drawn a line in the sand. I'm going to share my hope, my faith. I'm going to get up and say something about the hurting and the marginalized and those being taken advantage of or lied to or being censored. It's not going to happen around me. I want to be a part of the love of God that brings truth to people. Alexander Solzhenitsyn, that famous Russian, said that from ancient times he has seen a decline in courage is considered the first symptom of the end. Notice what he didn't say. He didn't say an enemy so big, an enemy so financed, an enemy so wicked, an enemy so evil. He did not say an enemy that's covered every base, there's nothing left to do. None of those things, just courage. Where there is courage, you attract the presence of God. God is attracted to courageous movement. We call it faith. Faith is not this little, well, we just believe. No, you're not. Faith is something that made the early church bold. It made them rise up and say things. And Acts chapter 4, verses 25 and on, is a situation where they're being beaten and whipped because they're not in agreement. And so then they said, Lord, take note of the threats of the people around us. They're saying, God, take note of what's going on. Why? Because God gets involved in the threats and the push against us, and grant that we, your bondservants, will speak your word boldly. This is the key to everything in life. This is the key to raising kids and families and cities and provinces and nations. This is the key that people rise up and speak truth even when it's not acceptable, even when people will blog about you, even when people will back away from you. Every courageous thing ever done in the history of the world had a peanut gallery saying, don't do it, don't you do it. Family member, Jesus himself said there will be times in your life where the family will be divided about standing for truth. He's not telling you to divide. He's just saying, don't let things silence us. History has been written by the blood, sweat, and tears. It is etched into eternity by people who stood up and just said, I'm going to just speak up, or I'm going to sit down on the wrong seat, or I'm going to fight, I'm going to risk, I'm going to speak, I'm going to try, I'm going to conquer my fears, I'm going to act with courage. They literally were just ordinary people. Courage is calling to every one of us, not for a one-time event, but for a daily living that sparks your kids, sparks your friends, sparks the people around you to rise up. I don't know what you're hearing right now, and I don't know what's going on in your world, but listen to me. It can be an ugly world. It can be. But courage is beautiful. And it is courage that allows beautiful things to exist.